client that I have to see, so I don't really have a lot of time, maybe like 5, 10 minutes. But yeah, man, I may have to start switching out my times, man, when I do lives and do video sessions, because when I'm doing them during the day, it's difficult, man, because I have so many clients and different things like that. But I want to talk about food for the spirit, man. There's a lot of talk around people losing their EBT, and my thoughts and prayers to the families that are in need and who rely on those services to support and provide for their families on a monthly basis. You know, um, that's nothing to play with. So, to the best of my ability, I'll try to support. Um, but food, right? There's a lot of discussion around food. I just had this thought and how, there's a lot of power, man, in food, right? You're hungry enough, your stomach can guide the direction of your feet, like when you're hungry and, you know, you're not able to eat, the meal that you want or have the food that you would, ideally like to have, that impacts, you know, your movement, right? That hunger can drive your hustle, man. I'm telling you, I had nights like that where you're just like hungry, you know. Maybe you can't afford, the shrimp scampi and the steak or the burgers or whatever, the chicken, right? And you got to settle for some noodles. You got to humble yourself. There's a lot of power, um, fuel, behind food, you know. But food for the spirit, though, right? Like in these times, to really spiritually advance, you know, and this is me talking to myself, really looking into fasting, you know, because a lot of times when we do eat as human beings, and this is not all human beings, um, I want to say there was a post on Instagram where it was like the average male weighs like fucking 200 pounds or something like that, or 1 in 3 or something like that. Obesity is a real thing, man. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been to a lot of Thanksgivings where a lot of it was like the mac and cheese, a lot of it was the grease and the oil. We like our grease, we like our butter, and all these different things. And this is the time to get healthy, man, and to really think of that longevity. You know, um, I've tried to do volunteer work and things like that, and Thanksgiving events and stuff like that, and there's a lot of value in that. And if you can't afford it to eat what you really want to eat, if you can't afford the turkey this year, if you can't afford the mac and cheese, the chitlins, the greens, and all of that, you know, choose things that fill your spirit or that you can eat on where you're still fulfilled, even if you can't have the things you want. I've had Thanksgivings where I couldn't eat turkey, I couldn't eat, the traditional dishes, right? And I had to settle for, other options, right? But that doesn't make your holiday less valuable. That doesn't make your holiday less meaningful or whatever you choose to worship or you choose to believe in, you know. Just having, I remember there were nights where we had to eat popsicles for dinner. There was no, no meal, right? And just you having the spirit of your family, I think the human body is like a beast, right? It wants to eat what it wants to fucking eat. It wants the turkey, it wants the fried turkey wings, it wants all these different things. We're a really food driven culture. Every fucking other Instagram post, if it's not ass and dudes walking around with their chest out, it's food, right? You get three options. You get fucking ass, chest, chicken, you know. So, you know, use this as an opportunity to start fasting. That's what having being broke, being in poverty, not being able to afford the food that I really want is what it taught me. It was like, how can I transform this into a spiritual conversation, right? Maybe I need to fast, right? EBT's been around, right, for a while. So we haven't been going without, right? You got some countries, you got some populations, man, shit. They wish they would have had an EBT or food stamps to to help take care of their family and provide for their family, but they never had that. So the fact that we were given that is a blessing, right? Now, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, they're taking it away, deal with it. No, this shit sucks, and I'm praying for you guys and I'm gonna do my best to try to contribute. But on the days where I was struggling and I'm not rich, but on the days where I couldn't afford what I really wanted to eat and I couldn't have that fancy Thanksgiving dinner, man, I had to be thankful for what I had, because there are people out there. Look at the people in Gaza. I was even looking at on a post where they were saying motherfuckers was like heating up mud cookies just to fight the hunger pains, in their body because they didn't have anything else to eat. Think of these people, you know, um, just because you don't have, the steaks and the chickens and your freezer's not stacked up. Maybe you just got bread and ham and, salami. Maybe it's going to be a Thanksgiving where shit. You might just have to have ham sandwiches. This might be a Thanksgiving or shit. You might have to just have corn or beans. So what? Is the body not made more than just to eat? Right? Are you not more than just a fucking meal? When God created you and He framed you, do you think He just made you for a burger? Can you not be used in your beautiful human physique in so many different ways? I don't get me wrong, like there's fulfillment in having certain meals and different things like that, but Christ went without eating for 40 days, and what the devil do? And turn this bread into some bread. Why he had to come at him like that, right? Brother already fasting, he's in the flesh, right? The flesh has his hunger pains and different things like that. Oh, you hungry? You hungry? What the devil tried to do? He tried to manipulate off of that. He tried to max, oh, this is my opportunity, man. Turn this stone into bread. You God, right? I know you hungry, right? That wasn't the focus for the Most High, right? It's like, you eat off this word, I'll survive off of this word. I tried to fast. I looked at it like a fasting period, like when you broke or if you can't afford the food that you want, maybe it's God calling you to fast. They say you fast in what 2, 3 days, you can reset your immune system, right? We already got a lot of black people dying from what high blood pressure, diabetes, right? Eating a lot of this unhealthy food, and you got a lot of black people who eat healthy, who eat clean. So this ain't for everybody, but a lot of those Thanksgiving meals, everybody ain't eating lettuce sandwiches and shit, right? We're not eating, everybody's not just passing around water and loaves, right? We're eating that good shit, right? We want the greasy macaroni, we want that extra cheese, we want that Velveeta, nigga, I want the fucking drippings, the turkey juice dripping, I'm gonna pour some of that shit, you know? And it's just like, man, like, we lost a lot of people. D'Angelo, the brother, just passed away to cancer. We're losing a lot of black folks who were pillars in our psyche and psychology due to a lot of health issues and health risks, and I'm not saying that everything is because of diet, and I'm not attributing that to the brother, but we lose a lot of people in our community because of our diet, man, and not eating the right things, not eating the right meals. I want to say Dr. Sabi, I don't know a whole lot about the brother, but I know he cared about nutrition. He cared about what you put in your body. Salute to Red Pill, Blue Pill, educating us on, proper nutrition, proper ways to eat to take care of your body. The knowledge is out there. So maybe it's a year of fasting, right? Maybe this is a year where God is saying, you know what? Every Thanksgiving, every year, man, you had the turkey legs, you had the chicken wings, you had the mac and cheese, the coals, you had all that fly-ish, How about eating on my word? How about and everybody has their spirituality in the way they is unique for them. So I'm not saying there's for me, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. So however you manifest your higher power and that higher knowledge in your life is up to you and God, right? I can't tell you what you need to be doing, but maybe it's time for you to connect the spirit, man. Because that's what the system wants to do, man. They want to be the devil that play off your vices, right? You got to eat, so let's attack your food, right? You got to drink, so let's attack some of these different chemicals and liquids, right? That it freed me to get off alcohol and weed, and the more I was hooked on that shit, it was like I feel like the system could just play off these vices and people who were puppets of the shit, right? The weed man can control me, right? Oh, you need this bag of weed, nigga? Yeah, I'll be there at 5. And you get there at 5, motherfucker don't show till 8. You depending on, alcohol. Okay, yeah, you can. We don't got no more Ciroc. We don't got this type of drink. You got to settle for beer, nigga. Or you got to settle for this. It's just it's an opportunity for the enemy to puppet string you. We gotta not be dependent on, food, at this point, and even unhealthy food, man. Depend on the spirit, um, find other ways that you can feel fulfilled, that you can feel full. Sometimes drinking water can kill a hunger pain. It ain't just getting a damn cheeseburger, and because we're creatures of habit. Like, no, man, I always eat this at the time. Randy, you don't understand. I always eat this at that time. I always eat that. I ain't shit. I'm not settling for less, man. It's my food. It's like, all right, man, do you? I'm not here to tell you what you should do differently. I just, from what I'm seeing, man, I'm looking at shit deeper than surface level, man. God is always talking to us, man. He's always sending us a message, and I believe He's always the ultimate orchestrator. It don't matter what the fuck is going on. I always look at, man, what is that love, right? That supersedes the human day to day. What is that love trying to tell us, right? Because He can see the future. He knows when this flesh is shed off, right, and we got to put on some new clothes. He knows what's on the other side, right? And it's not going to be that those turkey drippings, right? You're not going to get those chitlins, right, and that fried ham, right? There's something else that's going on. There's another higher spiritual conversation that's happening. So don't feel bad. Don't be hard on yourself, man. If you know, maybe this Thanksgiving is going to look different, right? Maybe you're not going to be able to eat some of the things that you usually eat. Maybe you're not going to be able to enjoy some of the meals that you usually enjoy, but you're still beautiful. You're still loved. Food, as much value as it has, does not define who you are, to us, you know, and you can still have a great season, with your family. And hopefully the Lord will provide for you in the way, that you need, right? You may not have what you want, but, I'm praying that God will be able to provide for you in ways that you need to give you a sense of fulfillment in your spirit. Because sometimes you can have a buffet, right? And still feel empty, right? After you done eat and you done chow down, right? What do? We like off into the room and we're gonna play this game, man. I play this fucking 2K. We eat good and you go, everybody's off. Right. Okay, I'm satisfied. I'm good. All right. Mama left to clean up the kitchen. She might have a couple cousins clean up. Everybody's going. Everybody's doing their own thing, right? And it becomes all about the food, right? When humanity can make coming together more than just what's in our stomach, right? And things like that, So praying that you still have a blessed, you know, season, a mindful, a lot of conversations around the first and different things like that. But, you know, humanity's been through way much worse, man. We've overcame a lot of challenges and difficulties, all right? So don't let this, you know, be the hanger that you hang up your love for yourself. Don't let this situation, this fear of, oh, the EBT is going to stop on the first. Don't let this be the hook that you hang up your self-love and your self-compassion, and you hang up your faith, and you hang up, your belief in the future and hope. All right. Because you were built for more than just the, appetites, of the stomach and the appetites of your body, and you are loved, you are valuable, right? Like I said, I'm gonna do my best to participate and contribute to people who are in need. I can't save everybody, but my thoughts and prayers go to you. But really, the season is more about your appetite and it's more about the love, right? And connecting with your people, loving yourself, right? And your health, right, as well. So use it as an opportunity for fasting, man. I had to fast many holidays, not having the money, not being able to provide the things that I truly wanted, but the love was still there. So I hope that you feel that same way too, man. That was all I had. Whoever that's for is whoever is for, man. Hope you guys have a blessed night, man. Peace.